Opinion: what India can do amid Trump's tariff pressure. United States President Donald Trump's adversarial tariff policy on India has largely been regarded flip-flop, hinting at fluid stance and diabolical in spirit and content. From being most favored trading ally with minimal tariff proposal of 10% in April 2025, India has been bracketed in the list of enemy countries that attract highest impost of 50%. Numbers and data apart, there has been a lot of noise, nervousness, and anxiety as clock ticked 4 p.m. in last few days in India. It's at about that time of the day Trump first announced 25% and later doubled it to 50%, triggering a flurry of activity. Old-timers did not miss the drama, show, and high-decibel drama that Trump put on these days targeting one or other trading partners. It was the turn of Bharat in the last few days. A 21-day window announced for tariffs to kick and signaled that Trump was open to negotiation before inking the trade deal. It's one way of exerting pressure on New Delhi's negotiators to sign on a bad trade deal, which means granting U.S. unhindered access to agriculture, fisheries, and dairy sector in India. President Trump's optimism to drive a hard bargain also reflects from his statement, "It's only been 8 hours. Let's see what happens." You are going to see a lot more and some secondary sanctions. The 8-hour time frame referred to by Trump hints at his wait, watch and strike attitude in the midst of serious negotiations. Contrary to drama associated with Trump's diatribe, India's response has been mature, measured and nuanced in last fortnight within and outside the parliament. Unreasonable, unfair and unjustified is how India described Trump's executive order on 50% levy. For the first time, Prime Minister Narendra Modi stuck his neck out and took it upon himself the consequences of tariffs tantrums thrown by President Trump. Modi said unequivocally that he was willing to pay a heavy personal price as Trump's tariffs would impact large number of labor-intensive and rural sectors. First, Prime Minister Modi has taken personal responsibility for the impact trade pact and tariffs would have on 1.4 billion plus Indians. Modi's statement at MS Swaminathan International Centenary Conference on Thursday is very significant. He's not willing to compromise on protecting farmers, rural people interests, and labor-intensive industrial sectors. Also, he was willing to face the political flack and pay heavy personal price on consequences given opposition parties' intransigent line on United States. Prime Minister Modi understands that throwing open the agriculture sector to U.S. is not only economically unviable but politically unsaleable to the core Hindu vote bank, San Parivar, and the ecosystem. On factual analysis, the Modi government will have to deal with adverse impact on GDP growth of 0.20–0.4% in case tariffs finally stay at 25% during this fiscal. Top analysts estimate that entire U.S. $86.5 billion annual goods exports from India to United States may turn non-competitive or commercially viable. Given that the U.S. is top market for India and constitutes about 18% of its global goods exports and constitutes 2.2% GDP, strains have begun to appear on near future. Given Prime Minister Modi's steadfast commitment to protect India's national interests, Indian negotiators are breathing easy. The proposed 50% duties, if they kick in, finally translate to announced trade sanctions or embargo on India, thereby worsening the strain in relations between the two countries. One big fallout that's largely speculated was that India may not buy F-35 stealth fighter jet aircraft from the United States. Factual position so far is that after U.S. offered to sell these jets, formal negotiations have not yet begun. And these discussions may remain a non-starter. Secondly, India may consider imposing retaliatory duties on 28 U.S. products, including its apples and walnuts, given the precedent in 2019 to counter restrictive levies Washington, D.C. had imposed on Indian steel and aluminium products. Thirdly, the arc of disengagement between India and U.S. may widen for the time being unless recalibrates its trade and tariff policies. Fourthly, an aggressive campaign may be launched by the ruling party and the government to go local and opt for made-in-India products and services. Fifthly, Prime Minister Narendra Modi may mobilize people in socio-economic spheres for adapting Swadeshi. Sixthly, realigning India's trade, investment, economic, geostrategic relations may be a big option. Russia, China, and other countries' engagement may be enhanced to counterbalance U.S. Republican White House under President Trump's stewardship. Aligning with countries like Brazil, who have been put on high tariff line by U.S., could be an option. Seventhly, present developments may lead to expanding time-tested foreign policy of strategic autonomy to protect India's offensive and defensive interests. This may also be the right moment to promote South-South trade engagement. Eighthly, upcoming conclaves of Shanghai Cooperation Organization (SCO), Quad, and BRICS may be occasions for India to sharpen its policy framework for global engagement. Ninthly, evolving an independent fiscal architecture, decoupling from U.S. dollar or hastening BRICS currency to opt for diversification in payments may also be considered. Swipe left for next video. 10thly, putting in place medium and long-term policy on currencies and oil will go the India way. The author is Director and Chief Executive of non-partisan New Delhi-based think tank, Center for Integrated and Holistic Studies. Views expressed in the above piece are personal and solely those of the author. They do not necessarily